Let's start our cornbread for our cornbread dressing. And before I start, let me point out to y'all, look at that. I have 3 containers of homemade broth and some chicken because I'm going to start the dressing with some chicken and dressing, and that way I can taste to see if I need to add anything for, Thanksgiving. So anyway, we start with 2 cups of this stone ground self-rising yellow cornmeal, and I want y'all to notice this. I had to go all the way to Alto for this. Why? Those are the ingredients: cornmeal, salt, baking soda, phosphate. The phosphate is part of the self-rising. So we start with 2 cups of the cornmeal. Then we're going to add 2 cups of buttermilk. Now, normally I make my own buttermilk, but as I happened to be at the farmer's market yesterday, I got some fresh buttermilk. Okay, so there's our buttermilk and our cornbread, and now, our cornmeal, I'm going to add 2 eggs. Okay, so there are 2 eggs. Now, what y'all are saying is, it's Monday. Why are you starting this prep now? Well, because the cornbread has to dry out for several hours, possibly a day, before we put it in dressing. Next is the oil. Okay, so our mixture is nice and smooth. Now, you'll notice on this recipe here that it says to add sugar. I'm not going to be doing that. This is for dressing, but I will be putting it in to the cast iron skillet. Okay, so here it is in our cast iron skillet. And for those of you who are wondering, my dog was spayed last week, so I had some pills out for her. Anyway, it's almost time to stick it in the oven. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pre-make this and then start getting all the other ingredients ready. But the first thing is the cornbread. Stay tuned. So let's make some dressing. All right, first off, real cornmeal. Not this stuff with, that's not real. It's got enriched things. Then I used homemade chicken broth. Look at that beautiful cornbread. Now, after a couple days of it drying out, I added it to some bread that I had dried out. Then I cut up some onions, some celery, some garlic, some pepper, of course, sage, and I chopped everything all up together, and then I added about a thing and a half of the broth. So start with the butter, and you're going to do the onions and celery, the garlic, and a little bit of sage and salt and pepper into the pot to get it nice and warm before you add everything back to your cornbread mixture, because you want to have, things that are already cooked. It just kind of makes it easier. Plus, you need to be able to smell it to know when it's done. So you mix it all together and you add the broth until it is really just kind of wet. Now, what I did here was I did a chicken in dressing as well as a normal dressing. So my first pan had some chicken on the bottom that I had cooked and made the broth from. And then I added the dressing on top of that and cooked it and tasted it to see. Now, it's a little dry. So for Thanksgiving Day, I added just a little bit more broth. Now, as you see, you got the lid. So I was able to put it up and keep it for Thanksgiving Day. And that's what I did. I pulled out the second one on Thanksgiving Day, and I served it with this lovely brown turkey.